Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. We're about 4 episodes deep into the new anime season, summer 2024. How are you all feeling about this season? I think it's an interesting one, but what are you all thinking on this one?
3 stars out of 5.
Stronger than previous summer seasons. I personally find summer has historically been a very weak season the past few years.
Right. With the exception of
so,
2021's one of those years had like an insane summer.
The main reason I know this is because I have done a running bit of I copy and paste my year-end post about summer, and I've done that 3 years in a row because I have been able to say the same comment about summer season of anime that many times in a row. So that's how I know it's been pretty bad.
Yeah,
I won't be able to do that this season or this year. I'll have to write something new for my summer blurb because there are in fact things to talk about. I wouldn't say it's blown me away. I wouldn't say there's anything on this list that I'm like holding up as a contender necessarily.
It might be some quantity over quality situation here, but yeah.
As you say, Jel, interesting. There's certainly things to talk about here.
Yeah. How about you, Peter?
I have a show that I'm super into, but mostly as it was a jumping off point to get super into the manga. So I'll be talking about that in a bit. But yeah, I think there's a lot of decent shows this season compared to like some proper standout ones.
Yeah. I think the two themes I'm going with, one, we started talking about it with Artemis last time, how there's a lot of shows that sound like they have awful premises but turned out to be okay this season. And then also, I just feel like there's a lot of like Ira, as you said, 3 out of 5 star shows, maybe pushing into 4 out of 5 on some of them. But I don't know if any of these are going to end up being Anime of the Year contenders at the end.
Right.
We'll see.
Looks like the summer season I was thinking about was 2019.
Okay.
Hero, that's 5 years ago.
Yeah, it sure is.
Yep. Let's move on and not think about that.
Year.
It's still 2020, guys. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm afraid it's been 5 years.
Oh God. Anyway, let's get into talking about anime here, and to introduce everybody, I'm Jel. We're joined by Iro.
Yes, I'm still here. I'm not dead yet, and I'll come back to that in a moment.
Okay, yes. We have all kinds of teasers at the top of the show here. We're joined by G.
What's good, everybody?
And we're also joined by Peter. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back, and also I'm so sorry.
I think that's Zig's bit, actually, usually, but yes.
It's part of being British, I think.
It's just the UK,
Okay, yes,
yeah.
it's the British, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, I guguess before we get into the actual anime, although I would argue that this is still very anime adjacent.
Yeah, sure.
Ira, as you were teasing,
I'm still here, and I'm not dead yet. Just like Arquaid Brunstud, Princess of the True Ancestors.
There has been an event.
Tsukihime herself.
There has been a release that most of us would never thought would ever actually happen in our lifetime. Hell has frozen over.
Rocked the foundations of anime fandom itself.
Hell has frozen over.
Yes.
Pigs have flown. Cats and dogs living together. Whatever cliche you want to have.
Yeah. The Tsukihime remake, long teased and released in Japan in 2021, have released in English a few weeks ago. The highly noted visual novel from Type Moon. The
it's not their first one, right? But it's like their... Oh, it is their first one?
I mean, original Tsukihime? Yeah.
Yes, the original.
It is. Okay. They sold that shit on floppy disks at Comic-Cat.
Right. Yeah. Like, to be clear, this is, so... I don't think they really need much explanation at this point, but Type Moon is, the
Fate people.
Yeah.
The Fate people. The company that is responsible for Fate Stay Night, Fate Grand Order, everything related to Fate.
Zero. Yep.
But this is the work
the foundational work. Yeah,
the Dojin Circle, known as Type Moon,
yes,
on the map. Yes.
Yep. This is what gave them money to make Fate's Stay Night, which was supposed to tide them over while they made Tsukihime 2. Anyway,
it happened.
Yeah, the original Tsukihime came out in 2000. I'm gonna say there were some versions of it earlier comic cuts, but it came out in 2000. Seminal visual novel. That sort of put them on the map. Had a notably poor anime in 2003.
I don't know what you're talking about, Iro. There is no Tsukihime anime.
It's so bad that everyone chooses to pretend it does not exist.
Just like there is just like Pacific Rim never got a sequel.
Yeah, too bad. It had a much better manga adaptation from 2003 to 2010.
Which is
my
main knowledge of Tsukihime, as someone who unfortunately does not really have the patience for a VN.
And so let me stitch together in my head here the sort of three-pronged premise of Tsukihime, which is Shikitono, who is the son of a CEO, like conglomerate owner, gets into some sort of accident as a child, and when he wakes up, he can see lines all over everything, all over people, all over objects, and if he traces the lines with a knife or his finger, they fall apart. Things break. They die. And he is losing it and meets a wizard, one Aoko Aozaki, who was from Witch on the Holy Night and has shown up in other Type Moon products. And she gives him special glasses that hide the lines.
And to be clear, when Iro says wizard, we are in fact talking about Type Moon, the work that is tangentially related to the infamously dripless fighting game Melty Blood.
Melty Blood, yes. Sako also in Melty Blood.
And so when we say wizard, we mean a woman wearing a white t-shirt and mom jeans.
Yes.
Hey, iconic look. They can't change it now. Yes, so he gets the special glasses that lets him hide the lines of death, and 10 years later, his father has passed away, and he is called back because he, as a child, after he got in his accident, he was basically disowned for being defective. So he's called back as a teenager to the family home after his father has died, and as he is dealing with this business of returning to like the mansion he barely remembers as a child, he sees a beautiful woman on the way to school and
of course
is overcome with murderous intent, and he stalks her home and cuts her into pieces with his lines of death and freaks out because he doesn't know why he did that. And then the next day he's like, it must have been a bad dream. And the next day, as he's going to school, she's there waiting for him and basically goes, hey, why the hell did you kill me? What's your deal? And he's like, how are you still alive? And she introduces herself as Arkwright Brunstad, a vampire who is in town to find another vampire who's killing people. And Shiki sort of gets wrapped up in this whole business with vampires killing each other. And the church, the anime Catholic Church, is here also trying to kill vampires. And it's a whole big mess of situations.
And the thing that, like, Iro is kind of understating here is, like, Tsukihime is kind of the seminal Japanese urban fantasy.
Sure, yeah.
Yes, Iro, it is okay to make hyperbolic statements when you want to talk about something you like.
Mm-hmm.
You've been watching me do this for years. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I think
you can trace so many urban fantasy anime stories
just
to
the mood of it, right?
Yes.
Like regular high school student gets wrapped up with this crazy supernatural shit that and that this specific like type of action that occurs, the like anime spectacle action that happens as a result.
Naming things, mystic eyes of death perception, that kind of
right, like a domain expansion does not exist without the reality marble.
And the reality marble doesn't exist without Arcwade's marble phantasm.
Exactly. Like, I mean, hell, we cannot even get away from the fact that Arc, you know, the main girl,
Neko Arc,
is, well, yes, obviously inspired the now international icon Neko Arc.
Yes, and Neko Arc is Nendoroid number 0. All Nendoroids.
Yes, all Nendoroids come from
Tsukihime.
Like, yes,
Neko Arc.
Yep. So yes, it truly is a foundational work.
Yeah, absolutely. And so
in anime culture, yes.
So I read the fan translation of the original of the original 2000 visual novel in probably 2008 or 2009, and it was already a meme at that point that they were totally making the Tsukihime remake, guys. They said they were going to do it, and then it was radio silence for like 15 years, right? And yes. it was a meme. Like, if you watch Carnival Phantasm, they joke about the Tsukihime remake not happening, right?
Carnival Phantasm, an anime that itself is like almost 10 years old at this point.
It's pretty more than 10.
It came out in
more than 10.
2011.
Yeah, so they have been making this, even that joke, for that long.
Yeah.
Like, that, you really have to think about like the amount of time that has passed for this to like finally coalesce into reality.
Yes, in English no less. And so it has been fascinating to me to sort of return to Tsukihime after so long, with fate being the elephant in the room, right? Of stomping all over everything. Because it feels almost so disconnected from any of that, right? Like, it is kind of its own little bottle story that if you are a sicko, you can see the like little connections here and there, but on the whole, it's like it's just its own thing. And it's almost weird to me that this comes out while Fate Grand Order is still stomping around,
right,
making $3 billion a day or whatever, yes. Right? Yeah. And I really appreciate that it exists, you know.
Yeah, I guess, you know, we don't need to get like too into the weeds about this, right? Obviously, like, Tsukihime is such a grand story, and also one that is, at least in remake form, arguably not finished yet. But like, you know, what I guess for you as somebody who like, for whom Tsukihime is a thing that you have been familiar with for this long, as somebody who has read the original, like, what does it feel like this remake has set out to do, like, other than just be, you know, a more modern, more accessible way to experience that story?
It feels almost like a declaration of, hey, we haven't forgotten that this stuff is here, almost. Which I think is very noticeable in how the sort of scale and spectacle has increased so much. Because the original's from 2000, it's a pretty low budget indie thing, and not a lot can be visually represented necessarily.
Right.
You know, it's a lot. It's kind of, take our word for it. This guy's scary. He can shoot out animals or whatever. And now, like, Fate has gotten so many big budget anime adaptations. Grand Order's huge, and every budding Grand Order has their gigantic screen tearing attack that shoots a billion lasers.
Yeah,
and whatever.
Like everybody has seen the, like, you know, the isolated Sakuga clip passed around of like a dude stabbing another dude through like 18 walls or something, and it's like, and as a result, right? It's like, even though Tsukihime is like of that same setting, because it is so old, right?
Yes, and like, if you asked the hardcore fans, like, well, yes, in the quote unquote official power rankings or what have you, like, Arcwade is supposed to be stronger than any of them. We promise, we swear, everybody. And so what a lot of this remake is it sort of takes a lot of the same situations that happened in the original and just pours money onto the fire, right?
Sure.
Or like just blows them up into such larger spectacles than they were.
And I guess the question, as always, is: would you say that works? Does Tsukihime still retain its tone, its appeal, even, you know, Hollywooded up, so to speak?
I think broadly, yes. I think some of the appeal has shifted due to how just things have shifted.
Changes in trends,
Yeah. It should be noted, of course, that the original Tsukihime had 5 separate routes, each, certain turning down to separate heroine. And one of the selling points for the remake in the meme days was the cut 6th route. And so the current remake for Tsukihime, which is like a part 1, it only has the first 2 routes.
Oh boy.
It only has Arquaid and CL, who is a church assassin. Anyway, it only has the 2 routes, and Arquaid's route is mostly how it was, like, in everybody's memory. Like, they specifically made Arquaid's route as, like, the regular.
Right.
The remake for people who just want a fancy version of what they remember. Right. And the CL route is where, like, almost all of the expansion got brought in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because her route was sort of infamously slapshod. She was always at the bottom of the popularity polls because her route was kind of just whatever.
Right. And so I guess, would you say then that has her route been done justice by the remake then?
I do think so. It is it feels like an expansion on the level of like a Final Fantasy VII remake.
I was literally about to ask.
Yeah, like it's like all of these things conceptually existed in a nascent form in the original, or like if you peered in quite closely, but having it all brought out to the forefront with new characters and stuff to help highlight them,
right?
Like it really does her character more justice. Like really brings out all of that, and I really appreciate it. It's nice to see, and it's again just a fascinating thing to have come out. I can't help but look at it because, again, Shiki's whole thing is he sees death. He can see the promised end to all things with his eyes. And when I think about this coming out now, and Fate Grand Order is almost 10 years old, it's like, I can't help but sort of think of it in that context. Mm-hmm. All those who flourish must fall. And so...
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, right?
Making a statement with like their first thing of like, we still have the original sauce that pushed that, got these things big, right?
I feel like this is tangentially related to what you're saying, but I'm also thinking of the recent Honkai Star Rail collaboration announcement specifically for Fate Stay Night and not
Right, is it specifically Unlimited Blade Order?
Yeah.
I believe so, yes.
Are we going to get a resurgence of the original old school Type Moon?
Maybe. I think, like, the thing about Type Moon is, like, sure, while Aniplex and all that are running Grand Order and making money hand over fist, like, the original, like, Type Moon squad are still there. Right? They're still,
and they're a fairly small team, right? Like, they're not, with the increase in Fate's fortune... that did not directly correlate to like Type Moon becoming
right. It's more that other studios have opened that they are connected to, right? So it is nice to see like Type Moon, the original Type Moon guys are putting out a Type Moon ass visual novel in the old style. It was the style of the time. Putting out just a visual novel. You pick the choices at the choice points. Sometimes you die, and it says bad end, and you get the goofy and you get the goofy little like teach me Seal Sensei where they go, "Hey, you died. Go back and pick the other choice, dumbass."
Yeah,
right. And
it warms the heart.
Yeah, it's like this is how it used to be, man.
Yeah,
like I still like it.
Yeah,
it's a big budget visual novel, right? And
I mean, in theory, that's like the kind of cool thing that something like a Fate Go should be able to subsidize, right? Like in an ideal world, Fate Go would be making money hand over fist, and that would allow the green lighting of these types of projects, right? That are like, I'm sure Tsukihime did fine, but like Tsukihime is not going to be an international sensation. I mean,
it's not going to make $1 billion, literally $1 billion.
No, you know, but like if it can be allowed to exist because of this other thing that makes all the money, like, wouldn't that be nice? I guess
it would. Yeah, it would. And you know, Grand Order can't last forever. Just
yes, all gacha must die one day.
One day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right.
I'm really glad it's out. I'm fascinated by its existence.
You know, shout outs to Arc, the original white woman.
Yep. The Moon Princess herself.
The original anime white girl that
Yep.
Like have you
dies horribly.
No, I mean oh, go ahead, Jill.
I was just going to say, do they plan on doing the other routes, or is that it for now?
Yes,
as far as we know,
they have stated very clear plans. There's a teaser at the end of the game and everything for the other half.
So now we have another opportunity for hell to freeze over and continue the joke.
Dude, when the Sachin
wait another 10 years.
Remake's not done until Sachin Root exists.
Yeah.
Like,
so
it has been promised for so fucking long. It's like, well, you gonna deliver?
The joke can still continue, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
And
that's cool. And you played it on Switch, right? I thought
I did. It is not out on PC.
Okay, it's only out on Switch.
It is out on PlayStation 4 and Switch. You know, I think
PlayStation 4, not 5.
Yes. 4.
Well, you can play it on 5.
I think they might have expressed intent to put it on PC eventually, but
yeah.
You kind of feel like you're supposed to, right? Considering the roots of those games.
Reports are that Takashi Takeuchi, the main artist, was like, we have to put this on PC. That's how these games used to be. And was like outvoted or what have you. It was like, no, everybody plays stuff on the Switch now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like if Witch and the Holy Knight got on PC eventually, then this probably will too.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's I'm still shocked that it happened, but
Tsukihime. Maybe you'll learn something.
Yeah, kids. Maybe you'll learn something.
Yeah.
All right.
Learn that CL was always the best waifu.
Yes, we couldn't tell your bias from the previous conversation. Yeah. But yes, go play Tsukihime. All right. Let's.
I was going to say, I feel like my only contribution to this is I watched the first 4 episodes of the anime.
Of Tsukihime?
Yeah, Lunar Legend, Tsukihime.
Oh, you poor soul.
And you rightfully did not continue watching more of them. Is that the conclusion that we've come to? Yeah.
Good opening, but that's about it.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. Ooh. I can still see it in my head. Anyway. Yeah. Let's go on to get to our anime for this. Yeah. Some actual animated anime here. And Peter, since we have you on, I know you're watching a bunch of shows that we haven't been covering. And
that's usually how it works.
We wanted to get to a couple of them, including one that I wanted to watch and it kind of just never got around to it, but it was My Wife Has No Emotion. This was the robot wife, the literal robot wife anime, right?
Yep.
And you're saying it's pretty good?
I really like it.
Okay.
So yeah, I mentioned at the start, I lied a little bit to you about trying to sell you on the My Wife Has No Emotion anime, because I'm actually selling you on the manga.
Oh, okay.
But I'm going to try and be vague enough to not spoil it. But I guess to recap the first few episodes / volume, we've got Takuma, pretty average guy, living in standard adult life, big city job, lives alone, doesn't have time to do the cooking, so he buys the Mina CL robot, a quote-unquote limited function cooking robot that makes meals autonomously and can have conversations through a speaker. Mm-hmm. Got a human-looking face, but has like exposed metal and stuff, and like very much this is a robot with like a human head, basically.
Right.
And the series starts after like Takuma's bought this robot and has been around for a bit and making meals and stuff, and then Takuma gets drunk and makes a joke about Mina becoming his wife, and Mina like looks on the internet about like how wives work because it's an order from your master and has to look it up.
I guess she's like, well, I do that already.
Well, kind of like it's sort of like they sort of slowly build on like Mina tries to do something, gets it kind of wrong because she's a robot. But like they try to make it work because like the next day, Mina's like, today's meal is omurice, and she's drawn on like love Takuma and ketchup on the omurice, and Takuma's like, I didn't tell you to do that. And she's just like, well, I'm your wife. Isn't that what I'm supposed to do? And he's like...
These large language models are just ruining everything. Yeah.
But it's nice. And, like, it isn't, like... I don't know how to put this. Like, it reminds me quite a lot of Chobits for, like, obvious reasons on top, but also particularly, like... the latter half of Chobits. Like, I'm not talking about like walking down the street yelling underwear, which is like episode 4 of Chobits or something. We're talking like late game Chobits where they're
because the earlier parts of Chobits are kind of creepy these days. I feel like the 2024 me going back and watch that are like, it's a little weird. But right. The later
like
parts
late game Chobits, when you've got well, funny enough, you have actually got a someone who got married to a robot and is grieving the loss of said robot and trying to move on to a human or what have you. In My Wife Has No Emotion, there's a bit of that later on. I'm not going to go too much into that, but I think of note in the early episodes of the anime, like Takuma's been keeping this whole like married to a robot thing secret, but then his sister finds out, and there's like this sort of big dramatic reveal of like expecting your sister to like freak out, and then she's like, this is the coolest fucking thing.
I do have a question. Like, when is this like his wedding has been officially recognized by the government? They've gone through the process, or is it just like you're my wife now?
So here's the thing. They've been describing it as common law marriage, or because it is against the law for a human and robot to get officially married.
Yes. Cowards, yeah.
And
I've seen that Futurama episode.
Yeah, but like you've got like one of Takuma's colleagues comments on like the lunchbox looking fancy, and Takuma's like cagey about it, and then eventually goes, well, I treat the robot that makes this like family, and the guy's like, yeah, of course, like treat them like family. Like if they're making Benos like that, why wouldn't you? Right. And like that it sort of builds, like you're sort of expecting people to like not get it, but they do get it, and there's quite like a lot of that.
People hold funerals for their Ibos, right? Like,
yeah.
It's
I bet that'll come up. That feels like something that'll come up.
Right,
but
like, and I feel like you see these kinds of stories out of Japan like more often than elsewhere because of that sort of animism like background. Maybe I'm simplifying too much, but
no, I think you're right. Like certainly the Aibo thing, I remember at the time, like the funerals and stuff, especially when Sony stopped doing repairs and stuff. There's like a whole like culture of like having parts and stuff, giving them to your friends who have them. Yeah. There's one thing that I do want to say about this show, in that there is something that is, I don't know how much of a stretch this is, but it certainly feels this way. Like there's a bit in like probably in like a couple episodes time. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but there is a bit where Takuma and Mina go to Takuma's parents' house, and Takuma comes out to his parents as having a robot wife, and stuff happens. And I use the phrase "comes out" very specifically because there's a lot of...
I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep.
I just want to say there's a lot of like elements that have happened so far in that it almost feels like robot is a stand-in for gender or pretty much anything like out of the ordinary, as you say, because you've got the talk about it being illegal, like same-sex marriage is still illegal in Japan, for example, and there is constant polling of everyone being okay with it, but the courts are still saying no. Some courts are saying it's unconstitutional, and so on and so on. But like, there is the way that people are reacting to this feels like it's mapping almost directly in some cases.
Right. I mean, even I brought up that Futurama episode earlier. That was like 2001, and even then, like they're making gags. I'm like, oh, you're a robosexual. Keep that in the closet, right? Like that. Like that is subtext around robot.
Right. I mean, if they're using the same kind of
for ages, right?
Right. If they're using the same kind of like contextual language and everything. I think it's a very valid
applicability
kind of analogy for it. Yeah.
Interesting. And the robot. The manga does get heavier in some places later on. I'm not going to spoil it because I really do want people to watch the anime as it's coming out. Maybe read the manga. It does feel like the anime's skipped bits so far that are like perhaps questioning things more than the anime feels comfortable with. But then they could like move stuff about so they could still show up later, because like some of the chapters kind of fit in like on their own. They could slot in anywhere. So I'd be interested to see if some bits that I remember in theory should have already happened will come up later. Go on.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was just gonna say, like, you started saying you were gonna sell us on the manga more so than the anime. And I was curious, like, what the difference was. Is it more of the anime you think is cutting things, or they just haven't gotten to certain things that you think they should be getting to?
So the animes are like your standard 12 episode length, and they are not rushing things. And they have skipped some of like the extra side stories that are like in the manga, like, but they're keeping like the core plot going. Like they haven't after the episode that Takuma's sister's introduced, there's a short that has Takuma's, that is just at Takuma's sister's place, who has a girlfriend, and that doesn't come up in the manga again. So I can understand like there's drop it, but like they skipped that would take like a few minutes of the Takuma's sister. What is her name? I can't remember. Akane's girlfriend being like, "Are you only dating me because it's weird?" And because Akane's kind of a weird character. Her whole thing is, this relationship's weird. I'm into it.
She loves taboo things.
Yeah. And yeah, that's skipped over in the anime. Whether they'll pick that up later, I don't know. But yeah, there's little bits, but also it just feels like where the anime is going to end is going to be probably way before a lot of the more serious stuff happens later on.
Is there a clue? You said you've binged the manga, right?
Yeah.
Is there like a clear climactic spot for the anime to end at?
I'm honestly not sure. The next episode has like it's going to introduce another robot.
Of course, naturally, yeah.
The third one.
The third 3 robots.
There's going to be a fourth shortly as well. Like,
well, I mean, I guess if anybody can just buy one, I mean, that seems like they'd be pretty common, right?
Well, the one being introduced in the next episode is a corporate one working for the robot company.
Sure.
And they are coming in for reasons, and they might see their product in certain ways different to how Takuma might see it, for example.
You're violating your terms of service.
Yeah. Your warranty is now void.
Your warranty does not cover marriage.
If you break the seal, your warranty is void.
I'm not going to tell you how close you are with that. So
okay, yes, that's fair. Yep.
I feel like it is a natural joke. Sorry.
All right. Yeah,
but yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like, I've bought the manga digitally and physically because I'm like that. And there's six volumes out. The 7th is due out in September. I think the anime might end in like the 3rd one, probably.
Okay, so I guess my only final question is, like, if somebody like me who generally does not read manga, like, is the anime still a good indicator of like what the story is like, or is it really missing too much watching the anime? Or
I think the anime is doing a good job of the primary story, which is the story of Takuma and Mina trying to be a married couple that's out of the ordinary. I think that it's going to do a good job of that. That's obviously going to flesh out more as the series goes on and the manga goes on. But I think like the anime is still doing a good job of that.
It'll at least give you an idea of like what you're getting yourself into. If that's fair to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That feels about right.
Well, I'm dropping at least 1 or 2 shows on this list here, so we may have some slots opening up. We'll see, but sounds pretty good.
Speaking of robot wives,
I guess speaking of robot wife.
Yeah, I will just say for my part, I am glad that somebody can take such a generous reading of that anime and its story. Just for the record, I said in the preview podcast, I strongly dislike this manga.
Damn.
Oh, okay.
But hey,
we can go back to the preview show for that one.
You were repping what Punko?
Useless Punko is the goated made robot manga. That's all I'll say. I'll go to the paint for Useless Punko when the time comes.
I do remember talking about that. Yeah,
I thought about for a second. I was like, "What about that one manga?" And I was like, "Oh wait, no, that wasn't a robot. That was a ghost."
A little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
okay. Well, let's talk about Nier Automata version 1.1a. Second season.
Yes.
What cool things have they done? We talked about the return last time, but what other how's that been going since?
Go ahead.
They're starting Route C. And so they took the iconic opening intro.
They did the thing. They did the thing. They literally do the thing. The thing that we have all like kind of joked about, like, are they going to do that with Route C? They totally do it. So as we talked about in the previous podcast, right? Like the logic virus is being spread by the machines, and Yorha is basically collapsing internally. So 2B and 9S detonate their black boxes and end up back on the base, on headquarters, where they go to inform Commander of what's happened. And this is where we get the whole like this whole thing, right? The whole Yorha machine war thing is a patsy. Right?
Everyone is infected except 2B and 9S.
Exactly. Everyone is infected. The humans were never alive to begin with. Yorha exists to perpetuate android existence. And so they literally do a thing of they flee the base, and as it is exploding, the music starts, and then you start getting the credits. But what they do here is it's the credits for the anime. It's the anime staff instead of the video game staff. It's of course. It's very good. It's very good. and then yes, you get your late title card. It was very exciting. Me and Iro were cheering for it. Like, yeah, they did it. They did the thing. And then the next episode is the slow and agonizing death of 2B.
Yep.
Thanks, Yoko.
Probably
Thanks,
the most like quote unquote normal the show has been since episode 1. Yes. Of like it's just the stuff, right? From the game, right?
They don't put any like alternate angles or anything on
like
it.
They try.
I mean, I feel like I think this is probably a point where you do want to just get this part.
Yeah,
done.
Like there are a couple of moments to get a little bit more screen time or more focus, but like broadly the events play out the same, which is 2B and 9S flee the Yorha headquarters and return to Earth's orbit. And, on the way there, they are intercepted by a bunch of infected Yorha flight units. And, as the fight goes on, 9S and 2B get separated and land in completely different parts of, I guess Earth or, the game map, basically, where it is revealed that 2B's logic virus infection is terminal. And yeah, it is the like really kind of rough, kind of emotionally trying moment, right? Where it's like 2B is...
She does not have a pleasant death.
She does not die easy. No.
Yeah.
No, it is a maybe not gruesome, but it is agonizing and slow. And as anybody who kind of remembers playing through 2B's death in the video game, the anime does its best to kind of like evoke the same sense of like
you were limping across half the world map.
Yes, dragging yourself through this map as your body fails you, piece by piece. And I think it's like because the anime is definitely kind of played up, maybe even more heavily. I mean, it was always there in the game, but the anime really heavily plays up the relationship between 2B and 9S. Like, it very much plays up, like, how much, like, the deeply twisted, or not twisted, the deeply painful affection that 2B holds for 9S.
And yet she kind of refuses to allow herself to express it because her job is to kill him over and over.
Right. And even to the bitter end, right? Like, she's, it is, like, look, we were just relitigating the things from the original video game, right? Like the tragedy of 2B and 9S, right? Like, these are the saddest robots have literally ever been in fiction.
Yes.
Like no robot has ever been sadder than the robots in Nier Automata.
Right.
We're saying that jokingly, but that's because we have like quite literally, 7+ years of emotional distance,
the saddest of all.
But yeah, it still hits. It really does hit. That moment when 9S finally fights his way through everything to reach 2B just in time to watch her be mercy killed by A2. Like, it resonates. It's still really strong, even if it's not interactive, even if you're not playing it. The anime does a great job of really heightening the tragedy of it all. And that's kind of where it ends. Like,
and
so
they seem to be implying that next episode will be an A2 flashback episode, which is interesting because in season 1 we already got Lily's flashback
about
the Pearl Harbor operation, which is also A2's backstory. And so the idea of like an A2 episode makes me go, what is that even about? Wasn't she just killing things for X years in the meanwhile? Like,
but I am definitely curious. I know I've said this every time, but like I am very curious to see how and where the Nier Automata anime continues to adapt this story, because the switch from playing 2B to A2 is like, I mean, it's a pretty significant shift in the story, right? I mean, I've talked about this with Iro off air, that like in many ways, like 2B is not exactly the most emotive character, and like I think it's almost, you might almost even think to yourself, oh, I don't really care about 2B that much. I mean, she's fucking hot as hell, but like, do I care about her as a character?
Right.
And then she dies, and you realize how large of a hole her absence leaves in that story.
Yeah.
Like how much her death sends 9S down his like deeply tragic sicko little boy spiral.
Yeah.
And just like how like the world of Nier Automata is never the same after 2B's death. And you feel that in the video game where like 9S and A2 both spend like, if you don't remember, but like the first half of Route C is like A2 and 9S kind of just faffing about doing side quests basically.
Yeah.
Like almost like they are intentionally drowning themselves in like tedious
video game drudgery. Oh, you need 3 keystones to get into that weird tower. Better go run around. Yeah,
let me go do that. I will collect as many bare asses as you need to make me forget about the fact that 2B is dead.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm curious how they will like kind of evoke that feeling in the anime, because they've done a pretty good job up to this point, but from here on out, it's a pretty different ball game. And I guess I think we continue to be impressed by this adaptation.
I feel like the post 2B stretch is also like the most video gamey.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking especially how I was thinking especially what are they going to do for the ending, the D/E ending.
Right.
I mean, ending C and D are basically just different perspectives.
Or I mean, sorry, C and D. I'm getting I'm getting them mixed up. C and D, I meant, yeah.
Look,
yes.
After you watch ending E, you have to delete all the episodes off of your hard drive.
right. So C and D are like the same
from Crunchyroll.
Right. Yeah, they pull it on Crunchyroll.
That would be so fucking funny.
Dude, that would be so funny.
Oh
man.
No, but I mean C and D, like the ending, it's just the ending that's different, but they're very different. That and that whole final battle and everything, how are they going to do that? That'll be interesting. But yeah,
I'm waiting for Devil and Popula and Song of the Ancients.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, that's I mean, you look. There's the other note you can always make about the Nier Automata anime. It plays the Nier Automata soundtrack, so
which makes it the best soundtrack of the year, de facto. Right?
Music's so good, feels so sad.
Thanks, Mayonaka.
They've been pretty heavy on referencing the original Nier too. So when
that's right. They actually have.
Are we gonna get like a flashback on that one?
Dude, man,
I think they have played some original Nier. Well, maybe they're original Nier tracks that were already featured in the game Automata.
Right.
But
yeah, I think so.
I think they have like played a couple of the old Nier tracks.
Yeah.
Emil showed up. Oh no, he showed up last time.
We talked about Emil showing. Yeah. I don't. Like even if they. I didn't even finish the first Nier, and if I hear Kaine's theme, I lose it. But
dude,
Nier, huh?
Yeah,
dude, I could go for the next 15 minutes ranting about how badly Square has fumbled Yoko Taro's career post Nier Automata. It's fucking crazy, man.
I feel like Yoko Taro is probably doing fine personally, but as far as like putting out more work or whatever, he's probably happy.
He is. I believe he is,
or at least I hope
he is co-writing the scripts of the anime. So, like,
is he that involved with it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, I just hope he's off happy drinking beer somewhere.
Yeah,
as we all wish we could be doing.
Just hanging with Yosuke Saito.
Yeah. All right. We'll the journey will continue on that one. Let's talk about Sengoku Youko, which has returned as well.
Never has a show been as cursed as Sengoku Yoko. Not by its own fault.
Mizukami is so cursed. It's not fair.
It's Mizukami himself.
Okay, but before we get, because I want to hear your guys' perspective as people who know what's going to happen. We haven't talked about.
Very generous of you, Jill.
I know what happens.
We've talked about before, from my perspective as someone who has not read the manga,
right,
and has no other context other than a broad understanding of how Mizukami operates.
I think Biscuit Hammer is like the only manga I got you to read. I think
and I watched Planet With, and that's pretty much it.
You never read Spirit Circle?
Damn, no, Spirit Circle's so good. Anyway, we
don't have time to get into that, but this anime has been super mid to me. like
look, I can't even defend it. It's an extremely mid adaptation. It's not bad.
So I did finally, because I hadn't watched the last episode of season 1 because I knew it was coming back. I was like, all right, I'll get to it when the show comes back. I know you guys had fairly positive things to say about that. I did not enjoy that episode at all.
That's fair. I mean,
it's okay. I mean, look,
I can't blame you.
And it was like the whole time, and I think it was mostly I'm sure some of the be not watching it for 3 months had something to do with it, but I didn't feel like the anime. I didn't feel like the anime did a good enough job of making me care. And then when the whole thing was going down, I'm like, Jinka's a dumbass. He could have probably stopped all of this. This could have all been easily prevented. And Kenjiro Suda ruins everything, as always.
I think so. From our perspective, so Iro's the one who like.
Just one more thing I want to say. So there's 2 episodes that came out to start season 2 in the return.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I only watched the first one. I don't know if I'm going to watch the second one. The first one came back. I'm like, I hope this isn't going to be about I hope this isn't going to be about the 2 worst characters, or at least. But
you don't like Shinsuke and Senya?
My guy Shinsuke.
I'm like, this brat going to be the main character now?
Damn, you're right. He is.
You know what's funny? What's funny is I had the exact same reaction reading the manga. I had the exact same reaction,
and it's like, yeah, I know in my heart that Mizukami is probably going to right this ship at some point, and I'll be in tears by the end if I stick with it.
It's great.
Like Peter and My Wife Has No Emotion. Maybe I'm just trying to sell you on Sengoku Youko.
But we're talking. I'm now 15 episodes in.
Right.
How much am I going to have to put up with to get to the?
Okay.
All right. Stuff.
Completely understand. Yeah.
So anyway,
all right.
I will now bow out, and you guys can have at it.
So here's the thing. Preface: I have zero recollection of Sengoku Youko. I am watching this with Iro, and Iro constantly goes, "Oh, it's her," or "Oh, it's that guy," and I go,
"Yeah, that guy."
Sure. Manga recently.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. This is not an indictment of Mizukami as a writer. This is an indictment of the reality that Sengoku Youko is. It's kind of the.
It's kind of whatever.
It's kind of like I would rank it the lowest of the Mizukami works.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean that dude. There's that one part with the dude with a sword. That's really cool. But and that's not that's like saying. Look, that's like saying that. God, I was trying to think of like a video game series that has like one really like kind of mid entry, but overall is still like pretty good in the content. Dark Souls 2, right? Dark Souls 2 is like not it's like the worst FromSoft game, but it's still a FromSoft game. It's still a pretty good video game, all said and done. Sengoku Youko is the Dark Souls 2 of Mizukami's repertoire, all right? And what I mean by that is it's still good, but it's just like it's very. It's just look. It's not Spirit Circle, all right.
Yeah. Oh,
and also the reality is like
it doesn't look good.
It's not a very like it's not a really high profile. Look, like fucking I'm seeing that fucking Sakuga blog dude post a clip from Elusive Samurai every week, and I'm like, damn, those are some good looking samurai. Wow. Wow, look at the way those robes flow in the wind. Damn.
Yeah.
And then I go watch Sengoku Youko, and it's like, this would have been good for like 2003.
Yeah. I think you brought it up while we were watching G that like part of the thing about Sengoku Youko is that you watch it or you read it, and it's like this is undeniably shonen battle manga. But it feels so different from the Jump shonen battle manga for like template, like tonally and just in content. That to an extent, if you are steeped in that world, that makes you too exhausted to watch Elusive Samurai.
No, I think
then like it stands out, right? And you see like the points where it does things differently, where Mizukami's strengths shine through. And that's
No,
like
definitely.
part of the charm of it.
Yeah, like to kind of echo that point a little bit more. Like what I was kind of talking about is like I think, especially here in the West, where we get a very like specific view of anime and manga.
I mean, I talked to other people who, supposedly like anime and manga. I'm being a little bit mean. Who supposedly like anime and manga, but like the only manga they read is on the Jump Plus, right? Mm-hmm. To them, that is what all manga is.
And right? As a result, they're getting a very narrow selection of not even just manga. I even specifically mean shonen.
Yes.
Right? Like shonen as in the demographic, as in the subgenre of manga.
Like,
you know.
I will never get any of these people to read a Bride story. Like,
yeah. And it is that kind of reminder that like Shonen Jump follows a very specific formula that is almost entirely unique to it, right? Like if you were to compare Full Metal Alchemist, arguably the most
successful non-jump shonen,
right? Even it feels fundamentally different from how Shonen Jump published shonen feel. And I think some of that is that Shonen Jump has a house style. Their editors clearly work a specific way and advise their writers in a very specific way. Mm-hmm. And so when you engage with something like a Sengoku Youko, which is outside of that stable, you do feel that difference. And I don't want to necessarily say like, oh, and that's why it's good. But it's like there almost is a kind of sense of freshness to it because it's like, oh, this is like what this genre could be like if we did not have to like so closely follow the Shonen Jump formula. Right. But also the paradox is the Shonen Jump formula
is what caused those things to become internationally known, right? Like,
and well, not only that, but get these lavish adaptations.
Yeah.
Like, how many shonen outside of Shonen Jump get this level of adaptation? It's
right. Not too many.
I mean, like, it's Full Metal Alchemist.
Right? Maggie. I would say Maggie.
Yeah. Maggie was not Shonen Jump, right?
It was not.
But it's like,
man, Maggie was all right.
Like the number of non-Shonen Jump shonen you can count that get, let's not even say a Demon Slayer tier adaptation, but like, a Haikyuu tier, adaptation.
Fairy Tail, like.
Yeah, it's like, there are not many of them. And does that excuse like Sengoku Yoko's adaptation like being kind of what it is? No, but I think in that context, maybe that is what makes it easier for me and Iro to forgive on a weekly basis.
The thing is, like, I watch it and I'm just like, I feel sad watching it, right? Because it's like it's not fair. It's like they are trying. It's like they are doing the best they can with what they have, and it's just not enough, right?
It really
is how I feel.
It's like Sengoku Youko is also the most like combat heavy of the Mizukami works. I think that is kind of the issue, right? Like if this were Spirit Circle, we probably wouldn't be feeling this way because Spirit Circle trades heavily on its storytelling and dialogue. But like they picked, I mean, I get it. They picked the one that is the most conventional shonen, but I don't know, like
yeah.
But there's still like I think you talked about this, G, when we were watching, but like there's stuff that like Mizukami's sort of optimistic style shines through, where like that first episode is what Senya like transforms and people are caught in the crossfire of that battle.
Yeah.
And then like Shinsuke's like, we gotta leave now. And but like the villagers are not angry at Senya, right? Like they are
right, like the typical trope.
You think about like Naruto, where it's like Naruto is shunned because the village hates him for the nine-tailed fox killing so many people. And
the people are smart enough to understand what actually
Senya was not your fault. Tsukiko is like, it's not your fault that you cut my father in half. It's just.
I was shocked she did not die. At least not yet, anyway.
You didn't watch the next episode where she immediately gets damseled.
Okay.
Tsukiko, character who really deserved a little better, even in the manga.
Like, literally, the second she was on screen, I'm like, oh, she's dead, isn't she? She's gonna die.
She's not dead. She'll maybe get damseled, though.
Yeah.
But, yeah, just those little things, it's like,
like that's where Mizukami shines, right? Like it is where Mizukami shines as an author is his ability to like twist these tropes just enough to like make them feel new and also imbue them with like that
loving
constant
humanity. Like,
there's a down to earth humanity
that he has.
Right. It's a down to earth humanity added into a genre that is normally very detached from reality, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and I think that's why
that's the interesting part. Yes,
I think that's why we root for Mizukami so much, is because like he's clearly like a decent guy, or at least writes about decent people, and like you just want him to catch his big break, you know? And
and it's not fucking fair.
Yeah, like I don't know, man. I'm going to assume the person who wrote Demon Slayer is not a bad person, but like, I'll happily say it. They don't deserve that success. Demon Slayer is an extremely mid manga. Like, fuck that shit. Like, straight up.
Shots fired.
I'll say it. I'll say it. Like, I don't. Like, I'm an artist too. I'm allowed to say who does and doesn't deserve success and adulation.
As as someone who's read all Demon Slayer, I think the best thing about Demon Slayer is like they handle the final boss really well.
Fair enough.
That's what I'll say.
G is out here starting rap beef with other artists. This is the post Kendrick world we live in here. But yes,
what I'm saying, maybe we need a movie-sized budget to adapt Mizukami's Walking the Void. Is all. Like, make that a movie. And maybe I'll forgive somebody. But
I feel like Biscuit Hammer was the chance, and that chance
it wasn't.
We
happening.
lost that chance 20 years ago.
The ball fumbling of all time.
Yeah. It's the thing. I cannot begrudge anybody for watching Sengoku Youko and going, this kind of sucks. I'm like, you know, I completely get where you're coming from, and it makes me sad, but I understand.
It makes me sad too, because I appreciate what Mizukami brings to the table, but I only got so much time left on this earth.
Look, if I got you to read Biscuit Hammer, if I somehow tricked you into reading Biscuit Hammer, the only manga you've ever read, or what have you.
I've read other manga, but it's on a short list.
Yeah.
Look, man, everybody just needs to read Spirit Circle. All right, you read Spirit
great.
Circle, all your problems will be fixed. Your life will have clarity again. Like, just.
I feel like I would probably just even enjoy reading Sengoku Youko more, because I could power through like the parts. It would just go faster, right? But I don't know.
Man.
Sorry, Iroh. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it is what it is.
I did my best.
I'm doing my best too.
All right. Let's talk about Senpai is an Otokonoko. I think this is still my favorite show this season. I have some concerns, but Peter, you also recently caught up on this. How are you feeling about the show?
So I like it. Episode 3 was absolutely miserable.
Okay,
and
in a bad sort of way.
As in, like, emotionally.
Okay.
Like it did a good job of expressing what was going on. Like the reaction I've seen from some friends who are trans, for example, has been like, yeah, the stuff that Makoto's mom is saying hits very close to home.
Okay.
And so, there's a lot of
heavy stuff.
It is. Episode 3 is pretty heavy. Yeah, and I can imagine for a lot of people that may have experienced similar or had similar experiences, that part would have been heavy. And then of course you get into episode 4 and it's like, we got to study for exams. Woo! Right? But overall, you think you're saying you're liking it though?
Yeah, like I'm really confused as to where episode 4 is going, because like where episode 4 when episode 5 go. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Right.
Because like they're calling into question what's her face's Saki's feelings.
Yeah, that was a little weird. So, all right. So just to kind of give some context to people, when we're talking about episode 3, and I won't get into too much detail with it, but you basically the main kid, we get a little bit of his backstory on how he got to where he's at, and I appreciated that we always kind of want anime to be, or any media to be, very upfront about these things, and I appreciate how very out in the open everything was. There was not any implying things or whatever, but basically they have a bit of a flashback where I feel like it's implied that his father does not live with them. Is that, did you get that too, Peter? His parents are separated.
Certainly present day. I don't know about in the flashback, because in the flashback the dad's more accepting and stuff.
Yeah.
So
but I think at present day it feels like he lives with his mother, and I don't know where his father currently is. Right. Yeah. But in the flashback,
at work probably.
Whether he lives with them or not, I don't know. Yeah. But the in the flashback, his mother is very, very hypersensitive about him acting like the
perfect son,
traditional boy that does boy things, right? And even if he's so much as has a cute pink cat eraser that a girl gave him from school, she freaks out. That's no, you shouldn't have cute things or whatever. It's a little dramatic, but also I think it's fine.
Is there a boy gendered version of the Yamato Nadeshiko concept?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, the Yamato Nadeshiko is it's a flower, but it's a conceptual perfect Japanese woman who does all the right things for a girl to do. Right?
Oh, Yamato Nadeshiko. I just realized what. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm pronouncing it poorly.
I don't know, but it is, I guess, kind of like that, where it's but I mean that's not just Japanese culture. That's every culture.
Well,
you gotta be, boys should be out.
Japanese culture, it means the character has a hime cut. That's what it means.
Tell me more.
But you know what I'm saying. Right. He should, right. But she gets very upset she's very upset and concerned that he likes cute things and girly things.
You gotta be a manly man,
quote unquote girly things. As he gets older and is reaching adolescence and is starting to explore his gender,
puberty, yeah.
They actually flash back to a conversation with the dad that's saying that he just straight out, do you want to change your gender? He just and he's not sure at this stage, and so he's well, I know an administrator at a school where they have they can help with this, and that's where he ends up going.
So the dad's way cooler about this than the mom.
Yes. Yes. But the thing is, from what I can tell, he lives with his mother, and I don't think his father is living with them, is what it's coming down to.
Okay.
So he's at a situation. So, and we kind of touched on this earlier. He's at a situation where he lives with his mom, and he can't be himself. He has to, perform as a boy at home, and that's what episode 3 really digs into, because if you recall where we left off, his mother discovered he has a pink handkerchief hidden under his bed, as if he were hiding porn, and the
right.
girl,
she was oh, you have a girlfriend, right?
And no, she we weren't sure what was going to happen last week, because that was the cliffhanger. So he kind of lies about that and says, oh yeah, it's from my, he didn't say girlfriend, but it's from her, ha ha ha, yeah, it's from a girl. And she's oh yes, of course, you wouldn't actually have one of these, right? And
as a manly man,
and I won't get too much into it, but it kind of spirals into him trying to quit and just live as a quote unquote normal boy. And I could see how that would be very difficult for people to watch if anybody has experienced that. But in the end, he has the support of his friends who and who realize that right away that, that's not, he's very unhappy doing that. And, he kind of goes back to still an unideal situation, but back to, at least while he's at school, being himself, even though he's still trying to hide it from his mom. So that's kind of that was like the real heavy episode 3. And,
right.
I do appreciate that, how very open they were about it and honest about it, even if it was perhaps a tad melodramatic, but it's fine. I mean, we can't complain about like.
Cannot complain about melodrama while watching anime.
No, I'm saying we can't complain about one on one end a show not being subtle enough, and then also ask for them to say these things out in the open.
That's a weird balance that we do not have time to get into on this.
Yeah, podcast. Exactly. Yeah, and honestly, the show it is a little weird because the show is like most of the time not this heavy, I guess.
Right.
Because as we do get into episode 4, it's the big thing. The big thing is, we got to study for exams. Let's do a study camp or whatever.
Studios know about the 3-episode rule now. Like, is the thing. They know.
What was it?
Studios know about the 3-episode rule. Like,
yes. Yeah. No, I'm not saying that this is a bad thing though, that they get more lighthearted.
I'm saying
that is like the most of the time the show is that more lighthearted and and the the kind of the more kind of deeper explorations of the the gender and sexuality stuff it's a prominent part of the show, but it's like there are other things going on, like being concerned about passing your exams and school stuff, right?
Yep.
And
trans people have to deal with regular shit too.
Yeah.
On top of everything else.
On top of everything else. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying it because that sort of, nice people being nice to each other aspect of it is something that I typically like. As far as the concerns go, like, I think Peter, you're kind of getting to part of it. Even just overall, I find it, I don't know if it's probably just more my personal preference, but they are playing this up as like a romantic love triangle type of situation.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I feel like I don't want that in this show. I don't know, like I don't know. I can't really explain why, other than I enjoy them being just 3 friends together more than like trying to figure out, who's in love with who or whatever, because they're very open about that as well. Because you've got like the girl that confesses to the main kid in the first episode, and then the childhood friend who's kind of figuring out that he's in love with him, and they're very open about like their feelings, at least in their inner thoughts, to the audience of. But then it gets to the weird thing that Peter was saying, where like in episode 4, they start to question whether the girl actually has feelings for him or not. And I have no idea why or where they're, like you said, Peter, I don't know where they're going with that. Like, what is the point of, why did we even go that route in the first place? But, so that part, I mean, it's fine, but it's a little weird. And then my other thing. Oh, go ahead, Peter. Sorry.
I'll just say, like, the thing with Saki is like, she confessed to Makoto thinking that Makoto was a girl, and then Saki was like, okay, but I can work with either. Like, I get to enjoy both versions.
Right.
And that was the line in episode 1, and I have seen some reactions online where it's like you Saki is like described as like bisexual, but then it's like, is she actually just a lesbian and isn't actually into guys? Is that the problem? And like,
that seems like a complicated thing to talk about.
Yeah,
Yes.
I feel like while that could be accurate,
Like,
I also feel like that might be more nuanced than
right.
Than
this
this
show
show
is
is.
going to try to tackle, but I could
I
see
know
that being an approach
I
to it.
know a married couple where the one of them figured out they were trans, right? And has joked to their wife, you didn't know you were a lesbian until later, right? And
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'm not touching that because I'm
Yeah.
not qualified to touch that.
Yeah,
But they're having a great time. So
that's completely going to be on a
yes.
case by case basis,
Yeah.
right? But
Yep.
yes,
Yeah.
but yeah. Go ahead, Peter. Were you going to say something else?
Honestly, I am also not this. It's just that this is a perspective I've seen online, and I am, as you say, I don't know if they're going to handle it well, if that is indeed the plan for this character.
Yeah.
Because like end of episode 4 was just like, don't know. Obviously, Ryuji's starting to get into his feelings more, like recognizing that he's probably gay. But like, they're still very unsure with him as well, and it's all very up in the air.
Yeah,
I get the feeling with stories like this that maybe the better route to take is like make sure it's established as what they are feeling is extremely specific to like these characters and how they are dealing with this, as opposed to like some sort of sweeping statement on how it's like to be trans or what have you.
I don't know if that's what they're doing, but
right. But I think it's just in general, if you are writing any story from a like a marginalized perspective, there's sort of a pressure to it must speak for all of that identity,
right? To be representation, right?
Whereas like it is probably more important and more impactful for it to be like, this is just how this person deals with these problems, right? It is not meant to be representative of all. It is just how this one character or person or viewpoint is handling these situations, right? Yeah. And that can be tough to communicate and to have people pick up on.
Yeah. I think I do feel like the author probably is well intentioned with whatever they're trying to do, and also I'm personally willing to chalk up a lot of things to these are kids trying to figure things out, right? They're still young kids trying to figure things out, but I'm also not a marginalized person that has an important opinion on this either, so it's everybody can interpret it as they will. But again, most of the show is pretty lighthearted fun. So the only other thing I wanted to mention, I am concerned about what they're going to do with his mom, because she seems like abnormally obsessed with this, like, he can't like cute things thing, and to the point where I feel like, and I'm dreading, there's going to be some kind of flashback as to her having a specific reason why, and there's going to be there's going to be the dreaded anime parental redemption arc,
generational trauma.
Especially since, I mean, I think they're trying to depict his mother as, besides that, she very much loves him, and maybe she's just not picking up that how important this is to him. But I feel like we're getting set up for the dreaded anime parental redemption arc. That's the unearned parental redemption arc. And I hope whatever they do with that, they handle that properly. But I feel like I'm just waiting. There's going to be a flashback episode on it. Mark my words. And I don't know. So
that's interesting, because I kind of feel the opposite. Because in episode 3, when you're seeing like the flashback prior to the school stuff, his mom walks in on him on Makoto trying on a skirt or something, and then pretty much goes into meltdown, and it felt to me, I guess it's not necessarily exactly this, but it felt to me more like the exaggerated reaction to seeing the handkerchief was like, oh no, this is this again, and just immediately going back into that. It felt like that moment was the thing, but then she was also awful before that as well. So yeah, you might be right.
That might be more of my I've watched too much anime in my lifetime speaking than anything else.
Yeah,
because anime loves to redeem parents. They sure do.
Sure does. Or sure just likes to say, "Oh, he's such a good father" when he's beating his son.
Right.
Teaching him how to be good and inspiring.
They love to drop that flashback to try to make you think the parents are actually not that bad, and I don't want that to happen here. So I don't know. Anyway, I still think it's a pretty good show. And hopefully those concerns will stay somewhat in check as we go along. So, okay, let's talk about Mayonaka Punch. Is this the only show that the four of us are all watching on this list?
It might be. Yeah,
I think it is
so.
Actually.
Yeah. Well, look, when anime puts out the spotlight for girls being bad people to each other, everybody at the GLORIO chat responds.
Give it 2 weeks, and the rest of you will play Tsukihime, right?
Yes, of course.
I'll watch the anime.
Nice.
All right. Yep, you got me back.
Yep. This show's fun. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if there's really too much to like. Yeah. It's possibly the least amount of substance out of any of the shows.
I feel a bit torn because I think the subject matter is like sucks, right? But then but the show is like having fun with it, right?
Yeah, right. I think that is the thing, right? It's like the most bored I have been with this show is when they're recording their actual YouTube videos.
Yeah,
right.
Like, I gotta be real, Masaki, if this is the best you got, no wonder why you're having a struggle.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I do not watch those kinds of YouTube videos, right? So I see them like, we're gonna get big doing mukbang eating videos or doing dumb shit variety shows. I'm like, I don't watch that. I watch 3-hour game reviews on YouTube.
Is that part of the joke that their videos are not?
I don't know because I feel like I've seen enough anime.
Hang on. So I want to get into it because there was only one episode out the last time we talked about this, and now we're on like episode 3. So I wanted to get in. I liked what they did because the premise is, of course, the girl's like, if we hit 1 million subscribers, the vampire girl can suck me dry. Their words, not mine.
Yes.
So I liked how in episode 2, like, they almost immediately get to 1 million subscribers by showing their vampire powers or whatever. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, well, show's over, I guess.
Do not try this at home.
Right. And then
they put the rules into place.
It's a bit of a shame because, like, I don't know, like, I mean, whatever, just showing the girls flying around was not that interesting, but I actually thought that, like,
it was a more interesting angle.
There would be an interesting angle if it was like, oh, we're like run-of-the-mill Japanese YouTubers, which is to say not very entertaining, but like they're vampires. Maybe that would be the gimmick.
It would be like YouTuber, What We Do in the Shadows, right? Like,
yes, exactly. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like, I was actually a little worried when in episode 2 they immediately put the shit can on that, and they're like, actually no vampire powers on screen. And I was like, oh, this show's about to get a lot worse, I think.
Yeah, and they're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, but...
And I think the thing that, like, really salvages this show is, like, the characters are, like, likable enough dirtbags that, like, I can enjoy watching them do whatever. Like I kind of would prefer if it wasn't YouTubing, but, like...
Yeah,
the dynamic is solid enough that I'm having fun just seeing these characters like be who they are on screen.
Yeah, I mean the characters combine two of my favorite comedy types, which are terrible people and extremely, extremely stupid. Like not a brain cell between the five of them, or however many there are at this point.
These are maybe some of the dumbest characters I've seen in an anime in a hot minute.
Complimentary because it's funny.
Yes, of course.
They're not like I said, not a brain cell between any of the five of them.
Most certainly not.
You're right. I think I agree. G. Whatever they're doing probably isn't that important. I do think it's whether you like those videos or not. It's a good enough framing device to set up their comedy hijinks or whatever. But
yeah,
and I don't. We'll see how many. I think I'd have to just double check the OP, but in the latest episode we got another
hot pachinko lady.
Yeah, we got another problematic woman to add to the.
What if this show looked like the ED, like the whole time?
Oh, that would be.
I know it'd be prohibitively expensive.
That would be tough. But I know what you mean. I think the show itself looks good. Actually,
it's fine. I know.
I mean the show. Mean. I mean I don't want to say this every single episode, but I don't like the art style. But the show itself, like the quality of the show is good. It's PA works.
I don't mind it too much. I think like the designs are a little too extra for my taste, but I think broadly it's funny. Like I think the show in some ways helps illustrate the razor thin edge of anime comedy because Mayonaka Punch is basically operating entirely on the premise that characters who make funny faces and loud noises is funny. And somehow makes it work. When we have another show on this list that we constantly point to as a tremendous failure because it operates on the premise that all you need to do is make funny faces and have the characters be loud. And the border there is razor thin.
it's difficult to explain on audio the difference.
Right.
There's a difference. And to be fair,
Mayonaka Punch makes it work.
It does. I do think I still feel like there is something missing from this to push it over the edge of being really enthusiastic about it. Yes, and maybe it is because there's really nothing here other than, some, pretty solid, visual and
I think for me it's if I think about other shows whether they were actually intended to be comedies or not, but I think the shows that have made me laugh the most in the last few years, it's I think it's you kind of need I think you need diversity in character archetypes and tone. You kind of need people to bounce off each other in interesting, funny ways. If we think about maybe the funniest show to me this year, right, would be say Bravern, right? And I think Bravern works because Isamu and Bravern and what's his name? Lewis Smith are such different characters and they bounce off each other in really fun ways, right? Like Bravern would not be nearly as funny if it were not for Isamu's constant no selling of it. And I think for Mayonaka Punch, it's
all the characters are kind of broadly the same, right?
If I were saying this character is the loudmouthed idiot, which one am I talking about?
Right.
4 of the 5 girls we've been introduced so far are basically that. I mean, and I think that's kind of maybe the thing, right? Is so we introduced Tokage, right? Who is the gambling obsessed pachinko lady, and what's her thing? She's loud and makes funny faces and is stupid. And I guess time will tell if they can find ways to make these characters bounce off each other in interesting ways. But right now, it's it really is kind of just getting by purely on kind of the charm of the base premise. And I think I guess time will tell if that's
it's enough. It's enough to make it fun, but if we're talking, if we wanted to push this into the next tier of top tier anime comedies, right? It's not there,
right?
Not quite. I don't think.
Peter, what are you thinking
Yeah, Peter, didn't you just marathon this?
Right, that's right.
Like right before we got on.
You shotgunned Mayonaka Punch.
How? What did you think about it?
I'm enjoying it. Question mark.
Mm-hmm. That's how I feel. Yeah.
I've got written down. It's 2 for 2 of shows this season where a streamer gets wasted before finding their big break.
Yep.
Because the other YouTuber show is the VTuber Legend show, which is that's its entire plot.
Sure.
But no, like it. I actually really like the art style. I like the character designs.
Yeah.
I feel like it is still pretty early. I think there's going to be a whole thing about trying to get Yuki over to like into their like YouTube video stuff. Like she was like, "Oh yeah, it's fine as long as you don't show the powers and stuff," but still doesn't want them to do it, from what I can tell.
Right.
But I don't know. It feels like there's going to be something with her rather than just showing up and say party's over.
Yeah, she's going to get roped into it somehow.
Somehow,
right?
Yes. I mean, we have already seen the
when they're eating
the side effects of garlic ingestion that has on these vampires.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there's that, and then there's probably also the like other like kind of simmering plot point that I don't know if a show like Mayonaka Punch actually has like the ability to handle this, but like Masaki, the human girl, okay, she's a total fuck up. Like, probably should not have punched that girl live on stream. Like, that's like, I mean,
sure,
I mean, probably shouldn't have. I mean, it was very funny, but I do feel some like kinship with her in the sense that like as somebody who puts out a lot of my own work on the internet, and that is a form of vulnerability, right? To share a part of yourself.
Yeah.
They constantly do this thing of like she is clearly someone who like hyper fixates on negative comments.
Right, that is a whole thing.
They have a whole visual representation of her anxiety.
She will be scrolling through the whole timeline, and then one negative comment will like ghost up out of the monitor.
Yeah.
Right,
and I mean, if you've ever like made work for consumption on the internet, you have felt this. It's a very difficult thing to overcome. I've been doing this for a very long time at this point, and you know, I have learned to like let a lot of it go or laugh it off, you know, like, because I mean, you hit a certain level of scale where it's like you're just always going to get people talking shit about you, but
sometimes you just remember one that sticks in your craw for however long.
Yes, I you know, like there are comments I can sort of remember. I could like rattle off verbatim, word for word, because it's just like it stuck with me, you know, it imprinted on me, and so it's like. I
still remember people referring to us as the GLORIO blog as film school rejects and you know, comments like that.
Yeah. Yes, you know, and I mean,
miserable film school rejects and things like
good
that.
Stuff. None of us went to film school, right? None of No, okay.
I was just trying to remember. We just have taste.
No, but we always talk about like directing and stuff like that, right? When we're criticizing.
I did study media, but
damn, all right.
Okay, well,
Right, well, there you go. But yeah. And his point is, I think I assume that is going to be a plot point this show will pursue, but I guess it's just like to what extent, right? Because it's like, here's the thing. You're not going to tell me that, like, don't worry, we just fixed Masaki's hyperfixation on negative comments, because that's not how it works. You don't fix that, you know?
Right.
So, like, and also her, like, hesitance to be on camera, right? That is almost guaranteed to be a plot point later on, right? Where they do the face reveal, and oh no, it's Masaki, the canceled YouTuber, is the one who made this channel or whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely something they're drawing attention to. Whether or not they do anything or not with it, who knows? But yeah.
Also, I know I said it last time, but now that I've actually watched the show, like, maybe Japanese YouTubing culture is like really different.
I think so, yes.
Okay, because I feel like if in America you told me that a famous YouTuber punched one of their co-hosts on a live stream and then like split off and made their own channel.
They would be wildly successful.
They would probably be wildly successful.
Yeah.
Like, because people love controversy. Like, they love that shit. Like,
yeah.
Like, or at least people would check it out initially, right? Because they'd be like, oh shit, that's the YouTube channel made by, like that kind of thing, right? It's I guess it must be like a Japanese cultural thing that like, oh, if a person gets canceled, do they actually stay canceled in Japan?
Yeah.
I don't know. Look, Masaki, just come to America. Just start a Kick account. Like,
yeah, right.
All right. You'll be a big hit over here.
Yeah, that show's fun. Whether or not it amounts to anything more than that, I don't know, but I'm enjoying it.
Will Ichiko invest in Bitcoin by the end of this this show?
Are they gonna start making NFTs for their channel?
I mean, look, man, her main character trait that I can, so far as I can pick up, is makes bad investments.
Yes.
So
we'll do anything for money. Yeah. Okay. Let's move along. So I kept Pseudo Harem on the list because I was on the fence after watching episode 1 about watching more of it. And Peter, you said you've been watching it. So I want to know what's been going on since episode 1 with Pseudo Harem. How's that been going?
So before I get into it, I want to tell you a fun story.
Okay.
Excellent.
I watched this show with a different plot in my head than I was expecting.
Okay.
In my head, I clearly misread the plot summary somewhere, and so in my head we've got this just like regular guy who's ended up with your typical harem, except he doesn't know this, but all of the girls in the harem are actually the same person, just like playing up different anime archetypes.
They just like meet him at a different time, like with a different disguise or something, and they're like,
just
I'm
like
do
the hair differently. Yeah, do the hair differently and show up in different places. And it wasn't.
Which of course, is not what the show is.
No, it's not.
Yes.
It is.
Oh man, I was like, oh, this sounds hilarious.
No, this show is. It's just like. It's the most generic rom-com, but the shtick is it's a drama club, and the girl just sort of tilts her head differently or does her hair differently when talking to the guy that she likes, to sort of pretend to be different anime archetypes. But he's in on the bit, she's just doing this as like a goof. But
it's just like a dumb inside joke. Between the two of them, right?
I read a porn manga once where the girl kept changing her disguises, and like because she wasn't comfortable confessing to the guy, but so she just kept having sex with him in different disguises. And so the dude thought he was super lucky that random women kept fucking him. Right?
It's a better plot than this anime already.
Maybe. No.
Anyway, continue.
Anyway. No, so, I mean, from my impression based on the first episode, this basically felt like a very conventional, one of those, like, hyper-focused romance stories where it's literally just, like, the two main characters hanging out, and it's, like, little vignettes of them just doing whatever.
Like a Shikimori is not just cute, or whatever.
Yeah, or even, like Takagi-san, but older, like, that kind of thing.
Tomo-chan is not a tomboy, or like...
Yeah, and, The whole gimmick part of it, of her like pretending to be different characters, like we said, is just kind of like a dumb inside joke between them, and they don't really take it that seriously, right? So, which I actually liked that it was because they have like
cute.
Yeah, it's cute. They kind of have a natural feeling relationship, and it's not like And he's not like, I think I said this last time, he's not like he's not like some loser incel guy. Like, he's just like a regular guy, right?
I guess I find this premise preferable to a regular harem.
Right. So, from what you're saying, Peter, whatever I saw in episode 1 has continued on basically into the next couple of episodes.
Yeah, like... it hasn't really changed much. Like, it's very... like the guy's got a little bit more of a creep. Like, he's reading a book that's like how to tell what girls are thinking or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
But like it's, and then like the girl turns to him in like the different voices, and he's like, "Well, clearly you know why I'm angry," and he's like, "Oh, it's cool, Chan." Like, yeah, it is more of the same. There's really not much to talk about it, really.
Yeah, because like when I say these are like vignettes, I mean literally there's no like connecting thread between what's going on. Like there could be like a week or a month that passes in between scenes, and you wouldn't know. Like, it's just like very kind of just them hanging out, right? So
yeah,
there's really not
festival episode, which you've got things to do with a school festival, but like there's no time passing or whatever. It is just here's the latest thing they're up to.
Right. So, all right. It doesn't sound like I need to rush to watch that then. Although, again, it's one of those shows that sounded maybe worse than... Although, I don't know. I might have liked Peter. I don't know if I would have liked your premise more or not. That would have been pretty fun. That could have been pretty funny. But, yeah. All right. Well, perhaps in contrast to what I said with the... kind of disconnected vignettes or whatever. That's something I want to talk about in our next show, Ramen Akaneko.
How's Kenjutsu been working out for you?
Pretty good, because he's not really on screen that much.
All right, okay.
Even though he's technically like the main like boss cat, like the show is kind of named after him. He's not really on screen that much. And when he is, he's just like grizzled ramen shop owner, which is pretty fun. So this might be the show that breaks the curse. Sorry, Sengoku Youko. But yeah, in the latest episode, I appreciate when comedies like this have some kind of continuity to them. So like things that happened in previous episodes affect what happens later, even if they're very small things. So like there's no really like big overarching plot to Ramen Akaneko, but it's still very much day to day whatever. But things that happened in previous episodes will impact, scenes that happen later, right? And a lot of those kind of threads kind of come together in the latest episode. So I mean, it's little things that range from, hey, maybe we should buy a dishwasher, and now we have a dishwasher, to, or hey, what happened to that asshole streamer guy, if you guys remember that?
Yeah.
They're having lunch and they're talking about, oh, I heard his channel got taken down for, violating terms of service or something.
He punched somebody live on stream?
Yeah.
After he went to Aokigahara.
Yeah. But the bigger one though is the real ass tiger that works for them,
right.
Who is very shy,
Hayami, right? Like,
very shy and voiced by Sayori Hayami.
Yeah.
So she hand makes noodles in the back of the shop, and they have the Akaneko special, which is like the handmade noodles, but nobody knows about it because they don't really advertise it or anything. And so she's just
hidden menu item.
So she's just like making these noodles and nobody's eating them. Nobody's ordering them. Right. So, the main girl, who's the human girl,
yes,
is revealed to have previously worked, I guess, as a graphic designer or something.
Yeah. All right.
And she was a, mistreated contractor, and that's why she left her job.
Tale as old as time.
But anyway, she makes a poster. She makes a very cool, flashy poster of the tiger hand rolling. Like, she takes a photo of her hand making the noodles and makes this cool poster. and that was a couple episodes ago, and this episode, the posters come back from the printers and they put it up, and everybody loves the Akaneko special, and it didn't really do much with it other than that. It's like, other than it this anime is also kind of a nice people being nice to each other anime for the most part. So that was kind of like the group bonding, because wow, this human lady went out of her way to help me, sell my, and I was too shy to do anything about it, and she helped me, sell more noodles or whatever.
Anime comedy horseshoe theory. Like,
right.
Assholes being assholes to each other, and nice people being nice to each other.
Yeah, but not anything in between is boring. Yes, give me one end to the other. But the funnier part was they're kind of starting to reveal a little more about the different cats that work there. One of them they hinted at there's like a gray cat who's like very nice and helpful, and he kind of runs the business end of it. But they're starting to hint that he's really he's like full on capitalist. I want to make money at all costs. Like they're hiding that somewhere. Like when the poster thing happens, and he's like, and it means we're gonna make more money, and he gets this evil grin or whatever, and then they don't address that at all. They would just
more
move on.
money.
But otherwise, he's like very nice. That's the first time we've had any hint of anything. But the big one was they reveal one of the cats. He overslept, and so the girl goes to wake him up. And when she goes into his room, he's got a full on like gamer chair set up, pro gamer, whatever. Yeah. Set up, and he's oversleeping because he's been up playing video games all night. Yeah.
Welcome to part 27 of my Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree Let's Play.
And he doesn't stream. He doesn't stream. He's like playing like competitive, whatever fake
Apex
shooter
Legends
game
or whatever. Like,
man, this cat's got a built-in gimmick. You know how hard the rest of us got to work to
I know,
stand out. Cat could just play with the camera on and rake in the subscribers.
They actually mention that later. They're like, you could stream and you would kill it because you're a cat, right?
Yeah.
Again, I kind of love that the show occasionally dips into getting into the weeds. Like he's gonna enter this tournament, this gamer tournament, and none of the other cats understand the concept of video games or whatever. So they're like, wait, are you quitting to become a pro gamer or whatever? And, Kenjiro Suda cat gives the like dramatic, don't hold back on our account, just go for it or whatever.
And then he drowns in pools, right?
Yeah.
Actually, what is he playing? Is he playing a fighting game? Like a shooter, right?
It's like in pools.
I couldn't. I posted it in the Discord earlier, but I couldn't figure out what exact game they were trying to emulate. But it felt like one of those like one of those like Korean third-person shooter games.
This might. Yeah, I think this is like. Oh God, it's
you know what I'm talking about? Really like janky Korean ones that you know what I'm talking about.
I think this is just like a generic hero shooter, right? You got like the two abilities, Overwatch adjacent, definitely. But the health part is very Apex coded. I think Apex is very popular in Japan.
Yeah,
it was third person, so they might not have been referencing a specific. Like if I look at that UI, I feel like that's stealing parts of like various different games, right?
No, I am no longer. You know what? I take it back. This cat shouldn't stream. I find watching shooting games on stream is dreadfully boring. So
all they do is like grouse about Skullblade's matchmaking or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, SBM.
So anyway, so he's like they get into they're like he's like I could never be a pro because I have to use like a tiny travel mouse because I'm a cat, and I could never use the
trackpad.
The high sensitivity mouse things that humans use, and
Jerry, one of those laptops that had the like nub in the center of the keyboard.
Yeah, can't reach the extra 42 buttons on the side with a cat's paw.
Yeah, so he's a little, but he's still. From what they were saying, he's still good enough to get into this tournament, maybe because he has cat reflexes. I don't know.
Hey, look, man, a blind man won a game in pools at EVO last year. All right, so it can be done.
Yeah. So anyway, So yeah, that show's fun. I mean, it's and I like that they're building a continuity that and kind of the relationships between the characters. Like I said, there's also the found family element to it as well, and it's just a fun show.
Cool, good.
All right.
This next show's fun.
Let's talk.
Right?
Let's talk about for probably the last time.
Yay!
My dear friend Nokotan. I know I said I was going to watch this
the ignoble fall of Nokotan.
Yeah,
I know I said I was going to watch this like a sicko, but after episode 3,
huh?
the 3-episode test, I can't do it. Can't do it.
You can't do Chika Noko.
Yeah, for the record, I actually thought episode 2 was a slight improvement over episode 1. And I'm not saying it gave me hope, but I was like, oh well, maybe there's some angle where they can, because as we've said before, it would not take much to fix the show. But the episode 3 was just bad, man.
What happened?
Give me the details.
Kind of nothing happened. The first segment, because it's comedy, how that you have 2 or 3 segments per episode. The first segment, which was the first half of the episode, was there's one of the real ass deer sneak into the club room, and I don't even remember the main girl's name at this point. She's convinced that this is Nokotan in disguise, and is trying to get the deer to reveal that it's Nokotan, even though it's really just a real ass deer.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how to explain it, because it's just the deer standing in the room and her yelling at it for 12 minutes.
It's not even beating up the principal.
I feel like if you're going to do the
focus move,
I feel like if you're going to do the joke bit of character mistakes another creature as being a character transformed into something else, you really have to go all the way with the oh, we're gonna take this deer to the classroom. And
we're gonna go out on the town, go karaoke.
Right, take this deer to the cafeteria.
It's a chicken booth,
yeah.
I mean, basically, she tries to bait her out with revealing her. She's like, "I will reveal some of my secrets or whatever to you if you just show that you're Nokotan," because that's the one joke that they have with trying to reveal this girl's, embarrass her basically, and it's just the same thing for 12 minutes. And there was even a part, so again, you could tweak this to be funny. If they actually tripled down on it and then made it so this whole time you as the audience are convinced it's not Nokotan and then it ends up being Nokotan at the end, that could have been funny.
Man.
Because there's even a part in her imagination where she's trying to imagine how this would even work. And the deer opens up like a robot suit and Nokotan comes out. I'm like, oh yeah, that's awesome. And then I realized, oh wait, that was her imagination. So and then the fact that they dragged the whole thing out for 12 minutes, I was like, I can't do this anymore.
I think we talked about this last time. We're when you can see how it could be good and it's just not, is worse than
exactly
just bad. Yeah.
And
so then the second half. Mm-hmm. They introduce another character, and again, this could be funny because she gets one good joke off when she comes in. Okay, so this new girl shows up to the club room, and as you know, the main girl is at least in the eyes of the rest of the school, the perfect student. Right. She's just been named now student council president. Everybody loves her or whatever, and so this girl shows up in the classroom and she's like, she's the grade lower. She's their kohai, right? And she's like, Senpai, I admire you so much. I want to be just like you. You're so amazing, blah, blah, blah. Can you teach me everything that you know? And the main girl's like, haha, well, maybe if she's being very, smug about it. And she's like, wait, who are you? I'm talking to Nokotan. I want to be a deer. And I'm like, you know what? That was a pretty good joke.
Sure. The swerve, yeah, I could see that, yeah.
And they actually set it up pretty good, where it was all right. I mean, I wasn't laughing out loud, but it was okay, that was a pretty solid joke. I could see that being pretty funny, and then they go nowhere. Like the new girl, I guess she likes rice is her thing.
That's a trait. That's a character trait you can have.
Half the world eats rice every day,
and she wants to build a rice paddy outside, and
I got an anime she could go check
maybe
out.
I should watch Sakura Rise of Ruin.
And she's aspiring to be. She wants to be a deer like Nokotan, and the joke is that she is already almost dumb enough to do it, and it just doesn't. Like there's so many like pieces of like things that could be funny, and then they just don't assemble them into jokes or anything. Like just I don't know.
I'm really curious. Like I don't know if like.
And a lot of people love this show. Like
it does. It seems to still be getting a relatively like positive reception. Though I definitely I do feel like I have seen anecdotally that like. Not a turn against it or anything like that, but I have definitely seen people kind of like voice the opinion that like
come to their senses.
Almost that like that, or maybe more like this thing should have been the like cultural sensation of the season,
right?
And instead, it's kind of just.
We all, so many of us wanted it to be, and we tried to make it that way for like a minute, and now it's like,
exactly. That's kind of what it is, right? Like, I think it's like people were like expecting this to kind of be the next Bocchi or something, right? Or not even like, I don't even mean that in terms of tone. I mean that in terms of like, internet, like
Pop Team Epic, even.
Like, yeah, and instead it's kind of like, look, man, Nokotan will never get a sticker in Street Fighter 6. Calling Street Fighter Kusoge.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pop Team Epic somehow making it into Street Fighter 6, but yes.
Yeah, but I think
not in time for really Evo, curious. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I think I'm really curious about is like I won't. I'm not gonna do it, but I'm really curious. Like, are these the same jokes in the manga? Like, is this a straight adaptation of the manga? Like
probably.
Like,
I mean,
where
but it's
are
also
the liberties being taken? I guess is like, my question.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is a 4-koma or whatever. Probably, some of these jokes might work better in a snappier sort of format.
I also ask that because, like, famously, so my understanding is that many of the jokes in Bocchi are in the original manga, but kind of what elevates Bocchi the anime is the like very like manic slapdash directing that Bocchi got, right? PS1 polygons,
CG,
yeah, all that stuff. That was the stop motion, like that. Like the jokes were the same as the manga, but like the execution is anime original. And I guess I'm like, I don't know. With Nokotan, is it like, are we just dealing with like bad material here? Like, are the jokes even in the manga just not very good?
Because Bocchi, I think what really made Bocchi take off was the, dare I say, relatability of the character, or to a lot of anime fans, either relatability or like I guess we've all been there at some point in our life, right?
It is an apples and oranges thing. I'm not. I don't intend to like say that these are comparable, but I meant more in terms of like the way their adaptations have been handled, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. And
again,
I think I'm. Well, I mean, episode 4 is out, and I did not watch it, so I think I'm probably done with that.
Have you read the Nokotan manga, dear listener? Write in.
Yeah, if anybody's read the manga, please, send us a addressed stamped envelope to GLORIO Tower at Anyway, let's conclude by talking about Dead Demons DeDeDeDe Destruction.
I know it is traditional to save the best show for last, but boy, maybe you shouldn't have done that because.
Is there a lot to talk about?
Yeah.
Oh man. I haven't been watching it, so I don't know. I did not do my research beforehand.
Fair enough. So obviously, to reiterate, Ira and I are watching the anime. We have not read the manga, but the last couple of episodes have basically been the dual story of the girls graduating high school. So, the end of their seishun, and kind of the bittersweetness of like where these girls are going to go with their lives, right? Like, Karode is moving away out of her home. Ontan has her own delusions about what she wants to do in college. We are introduced to a new character named Futaba, who is from kind of a small town in Japan, who wants to move to the big city to, etc. Typical young kid shit, right? Like find themselves in Tokyo. We're introduced to a character named Makoto, who is also lives in the same small town as Futaba, who is I believe it does explicitly identify as male, but is like into cross-dressing as a hobby, I guess, and wants to also move to Tokyo to kind of, get away from these sort of suffocating, judgment of a small town. Look, that's a universal feeling, right? And hoping to find acceptance in Tokyo. And this kind of whole conversation is actually fairly important because, like, Futaba and Makoto are talking about how, they're from a small town, they don't know everything about the world, but like they want to be more open-minded. They want to like meet unfamiliar people and come to understand unfamiliar cultures. And this is all kind of mentioned in the backdrop of Japan is increasingly militarizing its anti-alien activities and has developed an anti-alien laser strong enough to shoot down one of the like larger crafts that the aliens have been sending out. So up till now, the aliens have sort of been sending out these little drones that they've been shooting down regularly without prejudice or with prejudice. Just blasting them wherever they see them. And then there's these sort of larger crafts that are sort of bigger than the drones, but not as big as the mothership. And the Japanese military wants to start shooting these down next. And the episode 8, we watched episodes 8 and 9. Episode 8 ends with them shooting down one of these large crafts. And it literally rains hundreds or thousands of alien corpses from the sky. Just straight up. It's raining men, or in this case, child-sized aliens.
Yep.
And so as we've been, repeatedly reminded, these aliens have intelligence. They are sapient. Their intentions are not entirely understood at this point, but they are not seemingly hostile, at least at the moment.
Right.
And it's if you were talking about like how Mizukami is the eternal optimist, the one who believes in the inherent goodness of like the human soul.
Yes.
Inyo Asano clearly has some very cynical viewpoints of human nature. There's a scene, I think, in the prior episode. I don't know if we talked about. No, we didn't because we were doing first impressions last week.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever even talked about the flashback.
Oh my! Oh god! Oh my god! There's too much to talk about. Aqua, help!
Yeah, Aqua guys.
There's too much to talk about here. Okay. Speed running. All right, so there was a multi-episode arc previously that goes into Karode and Ontan's childhood that basically explains that introduces this mystery because Ontan and Karode's shared childhood that we are shown is inconsistent with the Karode and Ontan that we see in modern day. It is revealed to us that Karode and Ontan met one of these aliens as children, saved its life, and in return, in a sort of Doraemon-esque turn of events, gives Ontan and Karode various alien gadgets, like a flying device, or in Karode's an invisibility cloak, or in one case, the alien gives Karode a magic wand that can reverse the polarity of gravity.
Right, it could just like manipulate. It's just like a telekinesis machine that you can move objects.
And Karode immediately takes this wand and starts committing a series of killings across
Death Note. Like,
she just basically starts
politician. I'll kill you.
She immediately starts targeting politicians and other people she considers.
I'm sorry, I might have lost the thread here. Is this a flashback or is this current?
It's a flashback. Karode.
So she's going to be a very small child.
Yeah, she's
Or-
like 12
She's
years
like
old.
she's like in what, 10?
Yes, maybe
10 to
even
12
younger.
years
Yes,
old.
elementary. Yes,
Preteen.
and she has just decided that there is a certain subclass of human being that is unworthy of life or mercy, and
Okay.
starts murdering them en masse. She derails a train. She assassinates a politician,
Yep.
and basically almost like walks right up to the precipice of committing a school shooting. Essentially, like
Yeah.
almost like murders her bullies at school. Until Ontan discovers this. And Karode explains that she has done all of this for Ontan, right? She believes that Ontan is the last and only good, fundamentally good human being in the world. And thus, the world must be cleansed to make a better world for Ontan. To which Ontan angrily retorts, I'm just a normal girl. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a little weird, but like, I'm just as flawed as every
Just
other
a
human
person,
being on this planet. I'm just a person. I'm not a saint. I'm no martyr. Like, and this breaks Karode. To go through these quickly, to the point where the flashback ends with her jumping off a building.
And then we're back to the present, where it seems like none of this has happened, question mark?
With no explanation, it appears that neither of the girls remember these events, or if they do, it has not affected them in any way, or their friendship.
Huh.
I don't know.
Yeah! So, that's one mystery that the show introduced recently.
Yes.
And then at the end of that flashback, the Japanese military makes first contact with the aliens who have surrendered and are begging for their lives, in which the Japanese military responds by executing them.
Yep.
Yep.
Inio Asano, huh? Yeah. Really has some opinions on human nature.
That is not an unreasonable projection of what might happen in that scenario.
And so
but
that is the kind of grim thing, right? As we are watching this show, and Iro and I constantly go, that seems needlessly cruel or prejudiced. And then we look outside or read the news and go, ooh, actually.
All right,
Maybe.
so, yeah.
Anyways.
Just my with a little bit more context here, we get a little bit of alien viewpoint in episode 9, where they are, because some survived the fall or what have you, and are hiding in, I don't know, the exclusion zone, question mark. They
are hiding, yes, in basically across the Japanese countryside, right. It seems.
And like we get a bit of them talking to each other. They have Japanese names.
Yes, they explicitly refer to each other with Japanese names
before they get murdered by vigilantes.
Well, yes, they are also murdered.
My weird pet theory here that I thought of yesterday is that because the government is also building various things with technology they may or may not have reverse engineered, and they're building a brand new stadium. An attached thing, and they're specifically refer to the stadium as it's going to be an ark for humans. And so I'm wondering if the aliens
are actually
humans, people who launched from this ark X months from now and then entered
a closed time
loop or some shit. Yeah.
Okay. I could definitely see that. They are not quite consistent on what language the aliens are speaking.
Right.
There is a bit where they go to the viewpoint of the soldier who executed the innocent aliens pleading for their lives.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're not actually speaking Japanese. They are speaking Japanese for the benefit of us, the viewer.
Right.
So it's not all explained yet, and that's kind of the nature of this. That's always been the nature of this show, is to kind of obfuscate a lot of things. So that's not a point against it at this point. That's kind of just what it is. But yeah, it definitely feels like the show is kind of starting to escalate the mysteries and also kind of the nature of the aliens and their direct effect on our characters. I will say one thing that, again, if Aqua were here, maybe he could explain. So episode 8 ends with literally hundreds or thousands of alien corpses raining from the sky, right? Episode 9 opens up with everybody being
time for
college. There was that all that mysterious debris fell from the ship, and some people say it was aliens, but those are all cranks conspiracy theorists. So it seems like humanity is still either in denial or like it has not been like the general theme of episode 9 is like the government is trying to decide how to reveal the existence of the aliens, and it seems like they have not officially done so yet. But we are treated to a montage of like there's a growing alien protection movement, right? Like people who think that aliens should be treated with like human rights. We see a good bit in the montage. There's a YouTuber hanging out with an alien living in his home. Like just posting this video on YouTube, and in my like dumb terminally online brain, I'm like, surely this would be enough evidence at this point, right? Like surely like, and then I was like, and then I thought about it some more, and I was like,
yeah.
Maybe not. Like I guess if a YouTuber, like if a YouTuber you watched made a video tomorrow that was like, "Hey, aliens are real," and I'm hanging out with one, would you even believe them?
I would assume it was a bit. Like I do not watch Mr. Beast because I just hear that about his existence, right?
Yeah.
I occasionally see thumbnails when I open YouTube in a private tab.
Yes.
Right? But then, like, I will see a thumbnail that's like, I don't know, I hired a hitman to kill me. And I'm like, okay, this is just some dumb bit. If Mr. Beast had or fucking PewDiePie or whoever the fuck had a thumbnail that was just like, I'm living with an alien, I would just assume
I would not explore any further. I would just be like, yep.
I would not explore any further. I would assume he was just being racist. Like,
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, so this led me down the line of thinking. All right, guys, pop quiz. Not pop quiz. Which YouTuber would it take to reveal the existence of aliens that you would fundamentally at least trust and or at least
that I personally would believe?
Consider, yes.
Tom Scott.
Yeah.
I'm on the alien warship.
I am on the alien mothership, yes, with the alien.
Tom Scott. Dan Olsen, maybe.
Yeah, folding ideas.
Archipel.
That would be a really weird one.
Yeah,
everybody should watch Archipel. Actually, I just wanted to shoehorn Archipel in.
Yeah, fair enough. Look,
everybody should watch Archipel.
I just it's. I get it,
but to Iroh's point, if it were somebody like Mr. Beast or somebody, hell no, I'd just be like, oh, it's what kind of ridiculous thing to be wasting $1 million on.
If the JRPG grandma, I'd believe her.
Yeah.
Dog eats food or whatever. Like
food for dogs.
Food for dogs.
Yeah. Shout out to that lady who is living my dream life.
Yeah. I will admit, it just had me like a little like I guess it's like again, and maybe it plays into like Inio Asano's like cynicism that like even if there was like documented proof that aliens existed, that like would people still like just willfully?
How long ago was this written? Like, is one of his more recent ones?
I'm gonna check that up.
Because I feel like that's even more poignant in today's the way information is handled.
The manga ran from 2014 to 2022.
Okay, so that's still coming up to pretty recent. Yeah, because I feel like even in the last 5 years, let's say, is drastically different the way we look at information. Compared to,
like the nature of like, like. The way content and information can now be generated and disseminated like completely changes.
There's so much misinformation now.
How relevant is Gatchaman crowds anymore?
Yeah. That's still pretty. I mean, I watched that maybe 3 years ago now at this point, and that's still pretty relevant.
Yeah, you watched it in 2021.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Something in that neighborhood. No, because I did rewatch it fairly recently.
Okay, sure. All right.
But yeah, so it's like it's that weird because like you know we can wrap it up soon, but just like episode 9 mostly focuses on the girls enrolling in college, and like one of the and it turns out Futaba is attending the same college as Ontan and Karode, and like they're just hanging out and. For context, she was taking a plane to Tokyo, and she was on the plane when the alien ship was shot down, and alien corpses literally like crashed onto the the plane, like they hit the wings. They were like, So she saw them, and so they're hanging out like I don't know in one of their apartments. And, you know, the news comes up, and in the way that humans do, they kind of, like, briefly pay attention to it. Like, oh, yeah, that alien thing, huh? And Futaba's like, yeah, I saw them. They're real. And the other girls just kind of look at her like she said a somewhat controversial thing.
Okay.
and they literally just go back to their like previous topic of conversation. And it's kind of the intentional point of this show that like people have so much going on in their modern lives that even something as insane as an alien invasion simply would not like.
I got a lot going on right now.
People are going to be very willing to ignore or not believe things if it's inconvenient for them.
Right, exactly. Like, Karode is going on a date with her teacher, which is, I mean, whatever. That plot point is still going. I guess people got to go to their part-time jobs. They got rent to make. They don't got time to care about an alien invasion.
I mean, the big thing we just saw was like with COVID, people denying how serious it was because it's inconvenient.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah,
yes,
yes,
definitely.
Yeah,
and
it's just pretending it's not there because I got stuff to do, right? Like,
yeah, and so I guess because of all that, I am kind of curious, like when that veil finally shatters in DeDeDeDe.
Because we had the episode 0 where we know it will at some point, right?
But also, like, I think part of the point of the show is that, like, there is no moment of shattering. It is the slow decline.
It's a gradual slide, right? Yes. I mean, I forgot to say, episode 8 literally ends with a giant text on screen that says 6 months until the end of humanity.
Yeah.
So, like, we are kind of given a timeline here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then episode 0 is like 2 years later, I think.
That is true. Well, I guess when you say the end of humanity, that could mean multiple things. That
the
end of the human race,
right?
The end of human hegemony over the planet.
With the context, I assume that means like the end of like modern civilization.
I think that is kind of more the implication, but yeah, I guess this is all to say, like, I think we talked about this before with DeDeDeDe, that like. I think maybe we're still a little up in the air about some of the character stuff, but like I think the fundamental mysteries and like what is going on around these characters is like so interesting that I think we're locked in no matter what, right?
I'm really curious because we're only like halfway in.
Yes,
and
that
so
is true.
It's like, damn, where do we go from here?
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is at the top of my things to catch up on as I'm dropping shows here. So
I would definitely say like
it seems like the most. It seems like it has the most substance out of anything that's going this season.
Right. I think of anything airing this season, like.
It's the only show that sounds like it's attempting to say something or whatever.
I'm not going to pretend like I can always call it at the end of the year, but I will say of the shows this season, DeDeDeDe is probably the one you want to have watched by the end of the year.
When we start talking about the big,
I think it is the one most likely to come up in conversations.
Yeah. So, all right. I don't know if I'll be able to catch up on all 9 episodes by next time, but I'll start chipping away at it. That's the plan. So, all right. Well, we made it. Bit of a long one. Thank you, Peter, for staying with us because it's super late for you. But
yeah, I'm about ready for bed.
Yeah, let's wrap this thing up. You check us out at theglorioblog.com, where you can read our other first looks and things. You can subscribe to the podcast. Oh, sorry, I missed our co-host. Don't forget to follow us on co-host at GLORIO. Yeah. You can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, YouTube, where you can like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, all those good things. Peter, where can people find you for your radio show?
If you head on over to nekadesu.radio, all the links to the socials and stuff is there, but it's every Saturday night, 9 p.m. UK time.
Yeah, so you can go check that out. Tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll catch everybody next time.